All right, welcome to your next video done by me, Mr. Singer. Going to be doing a video here to show you how to cut out your clock face so we can use it on the CNC machine using VCarve. So the first thing we need to do is open up VCarve. Now, you have to be on one of the desktops that we have in our computer lab area, our clean room, that say VCarve on one of the stickers on the computer. So you'll probably have an icon on the screen that you can click on that says VCarve. You probably can see on my screen, I have it down here on the status bar. But if you can't find either of those, you click on the little Windows icon and just start typing in VCarve and it should pop up. First thing we have to do is create a new file. So click Create New File. We're going to put in that it's a single-sided job. We're going to put in the width, height, and thickness of our wood. The wood we gave you is a 13-inch by 13-inch square, and it's a half-inch thick piece of plywood. Now that you notice everything's good there, you don't have to worry about appearance or anything unless you really want to change something. Let's do oak dark, why not? Hit OK. Now we're going to set up the vectors for our clock. We need to set up the vector to cut the square. We need the little square in the center that normally we would use a power drill to drill the hole through so we can put the mechanism through it. And then we need the square that's going to go on the back that we're going to be able to lay the mechanism into so that it all works. So first thing we're going to do is the circle. So I'm going to go ahead and click here where it says Create Vectors, Draw a Circle. And one thing I want to show you is the workspace here is a coordinate plane. So it's quadrant 1 on your coordinate plane. So it's positive, positive. The origin is in the bottom left corner. And as you move along the right, you will see that the X gets larger, like it should, and Y gets larger when you go up. You also get these markers that kind of pop up every now and then, so you can see where the center is going up and down and side to side. Now, because we want everything to work from the center of the wood out, we need to find where the center is going to be. So our center point is where the two lines come together. And you can see on the screen that that would be 6.5 inches in, 6.5 inches up. So over here under center point, I typed in 6.5 and 6.5. And how big is our circle? Our circle is 12 inches. So I'm going to click diameter and put in 12 inches. When I click create, voila, there's our circle. Now the other circle we need is the centerpiece for our mechanism. That is usually drilled out with a 5/16 inch bit. Well, first thing we need to do is change 5/16 here. We're going to keep the center point the same. 5/16 is a decimal. So if I open up my calculator, all I have to do is 5 divided by 16 because a fraction bar is the same as a division bar, whether it's the vinculum straight or the solidus, which is a slashed bar. You're going to have 0.3125 or 3,125 10,000ths. Don't forget the ones place value. You're going to have to put that in as well. So our diameter of our small circle is 0.3125 or 5/16. When I hit create, there's our little circle. So now I'm going to close the circles, and now I'm going to draw the rectangle that's going to be the inlay that we're going to use for putting in our mechanism. So it shows us that it wants us to use the center anchor point. Perfect. We want to have the center of the square to be able to determine this because we're going to go off the center of our piece of wood. We want square corners so that we have 90-degree corners. And the size of our mechanisms, thought I had one here, is 2¼ inches by 2¼ inches, or 2.25 by 2.25. I typed in 2.35 because I want to have a little bit of a tolerance of at least 1/10. And the tolerance gives us our little bit of wiggle room just in case the bit doesn't work perfectly, or sometimes the mechanisms we get aren't exactly perfect each time. So that's why we're going to do 2.35 instead of 2.25. So I'll hit create, and there's our square. So now I'm going to close it. Now we're going to set the tool path. So the tool path is what it is. It's the path that's going to be followed with the tool. So the first tool that I want us to use is to do the square. So click on the square line, the vector, make sure it's got that dotted line. Go to the top right here where it says Toolpath, and we are going to click Inlay Toolpath. We're going to set an inlay. Now here you can see they have male inlays and female inlays. We're going to use the ones that are called the female inlay pocket. So basically we're cutting out a hole. And I'm going to slide over here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, there we go. Go back to the toolpath. We're going to use a 1/4 inch mill. Now, if you didn't have that in there, all you have to do is go to select. Whoa, move over. And you pick one of them from here. Now, if the tool's going to change, Mr. Harris and I would have already let you know before you started watching the video. The next thing is we got to make sure we have the depth done correctly. So this is a 1/2 inch piece of wood that we're going to be cutting. Now, the square piece, we don't want cut all the way through. We want to have 1/8 inch left over. So how many eighths are in a half? How many eighths of an inch are in a 1/2 inch? Half of 8 is 4. So 4/8 would cut all the way through, or 0.5 would cut all the way through. What we need to do is find out what it would be if we took away 1/8. So we're looking at 3/8. So again, I'm going to use the calculator, and I'm going to just simply do 3 divided by 8, and 3/8 is 0.375 or 375 thousandths of an inch. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to make sure that I have 0.375 put in there. So that's how deep it's going to go. So that's perfect. Now, as far as the name, we're going to use camel case with this. I want you to put your last name, so I'm going to put Singer. And then what kind of cut is this? It's going to be the square, and it's going to be for the clock. So Singer square clock would be mine. If it was Mr. Harris, he would type Harris square clock. Or if your name is Johnson, Johnson square clock. You get the point. So I'm going to hit calculate, and now it's done. Now if we want to watch it, I'm going to bring the status bar about half speed. I'm going to change the color to red, and if we hit play, it's going to show us what it looks like when it cuts. Now, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Psychedelic. All right, I'm bored. I'm going to speed it up. There it is. So that's what it's going to look like. All right. So that is half of the toolpaths that we're going to need. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to go back to the 2D view. Now what we want to do is we want to set up our second toolpath. We're going to use the same tool, but we have to set it up. So I'm going to click Shift on the keyboard. First, I'm going to unclick the square. I'm going to click Shift on the keyboard, and I'm going to type in the circle, small circle, and large circle. Now they're both highlighted. So I'm going to go back to toolpaths. This time I'm going to pick a profile toolpath. So when I click profile toolpath, it's going to be cutting out the circle. So it's going to be a full cut all the way through our wood. So the start depth is going to be at 0 inches, and it's going to cut down. I have 0.51. Now, why would I do 0.51 when our wood is only 1/2 inch thick? Well, we want to cut all the way through the wood, so I want it to go through 1 more hundredth of an inch, which is very, 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 very little, but it's enough that it will cut through the wood. If you really wanted to, you could do 0.55, but I wouldn't go any deeper than that because you don't need to. We'll have an extra piece of wood underneath the wood that you're cutting so we don't damage our CNC machine. You'll want to make sure your tool is an end mill quarter. If not, I'll click select, and I'll find the end mill quarter, and I'll make sure it's on there. Now for this one, it says profile 1 at the bottom. I'm going to again change it to Singer. This is circle, and this is for the clock. Singer circle clock. I'm going to click calculate, and it's saying, hey, you're going to be cutting through your wood. We know that, so we're going to hit OK. So again, we can hit play to see what it looks like. I'll do it really fast this time, and you can see that it will cut through. And that's it. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to close this out, and we're going to save these 2 files. So we'll have you save it either on a flash drive eventually to put it over on the machine. But for now, what you can do is at the computer you're working at, you're going to save these 2 files so we don't lose them and you don't have to work through them again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click where it says Singer Square Clock, and I'm going to click the Save button. It has an old floppy disk. I bet none of you have ever used a floppy disk. So I click Save. I'm going to make sure that it's set for CNC Shark, USB arcs and inches, or .tap. I'm going to click Save Toolpath. Move this over so you can see it. I'm going to save it where it says Downloads. Okay, Downloads. Singer Square Clock.tap is going to go there. Then I'm going to click on the Singer Circle Clock. I'm going to click Save Toolpath. And I'm going to click Save again. Now this says Singer Clock Circle.tap. It's got the right file type. They're saved. Before you close out your system, make sure you open up the folder down here and click on Downloads and make sure that it's there. Okay, there may be other things there, but make sure yours are there. That's going to be the most important thing. So several people will work on these. They'll all have the same kind of last part, circle and clock, but you'll have your name there and you'll know it's yours. So that's it. That's how we create our files, and then from there we'll put them on the CNC machine, and we'll actually cut them there, and that we'll do physically in person. All right. If you have any questions, see myself or Mr. Harris.